Hello, so welcome back. We're going to be looking at paper 3 of the foundation tier today, the predicted paper for the 2022 exam that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're just going to run through it and do the best we can. That's all we can do. So we're going to have a look at paper 3. So we've got an hour and a half to do this paper, like with all of them. This is a foundation paper, it's a calculator paper, and once again, like all the others, you've got this lovely formula sheet to have a butcher's at before we get started. So we've got a bit of perimeter area and volume, we've got Pythagoras' theorem, we've got some trigonometric ratios, we've got a compound interest formula, and then we've got some probability stuff as well. So we'll keep that in mind just in case we need it, but let's get cracking. So number 1 says write 3.84761 to correct to 3 decimal places. So what we do is we look at 3 places after the decimal, we'll draw a little line, and then the number after the line will tell us whether we're going to round up or whether it's going to stay the same. Now if we've got 6 after the line, it's 5 or more, so it's going to round up. So our answer is just going to be 3.848, rounded up like that. Number 2 says write 23% as a fraction. Well, percent is always out of 100, so this is 23 out of 100. And question 3 says find the square root of 0.49. Well, again, we have a calculator, so type that in your calculator, press equals, and you should get 0.7. Okay, so a couple of straightforward questions to start. Question 4 says write down all the factors of 18. So the way I like to do this is see what numbers times to make 18. So always start with 1 times the number, don't forget that, so 1 times 18. And then I've started with 1, so I'm just going to count up and see what I can keep getting. So does 2 go into 18? Yes, goes in 9 times. 3, does 3 go into 18? Yes, 3 goes 6 times. 4 doesn't go into 18, 5 doesn't go 18, and then I've got to 6. And so once you get to the other side, you know that you've found all of your factors. So my factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Those are my factors. Okay, so number 5, here is a list of fractions. One of these fractions is not equivalent to 2/5. Write down this fraction. Well, in a calculator paper, use your calculator all the time. You can really easily simplify fractions by just typing in the fraction you've got, press equals, and it will simplify it for you. Now, that one will simplify to 2/5, as will that one, as will that one, and as will that one. But this one here, let's use it in a different colour, this will only simplify to 7 out of 15. So the fraction that is not equivalent, always write the original one, it's 14 out of 30. Okay. Number 6, Sophie spins a fair 4-sided spinner. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that the spinner lands on 2. Okay, well if we look at the spinner, there's 4 options and 2 of them are 2. Well, that's 2 out of 4, which is the same as a half. So we'll mark with a cross at the halfway point. Part B says, write down the probability that the spinner lands on 4. Well, if we look at this, there isn't a 4 anywhere in there, is there? So the probability of landing on a 4 is zilch. No chance whatsoever. Okay, so number 7, write 22 as a percentage of 58 and give your answer correct to the nearest whole number. Well, the way to do this is to write it as a fraction. So 22, we want that out of 58. That's going to give you a decimal. So to get a percentage, we just want to times that by 100. So let's just do that on our calculator. So 22 out of 58 times 100. So I'll write down a few of the numbers. So it's 37.93103 blah blah blah. But we want it to the nearest whole number. So it's going to round up because of that 9 to 38%, like that. Okay, number 8. In a box of chocolates, there are 11 milk chocolates, 5 dark chocolates and 7 white chocolates. Lovely. Charlie takes one of the chocolates at random. Write down the probability that Charlie takes a white chocolate. Well, all we need to do here is find out how many chocolates there are altogether, and then write the white chocolate as a fraction of the total chocolates. So 11 plus 5 plus 7, even if it's easy, stick it in the calculator and you should end up with 23. So the probability of a white chocolate, there are 7 white chocolates, there are 23 altogether, so it's 7 out of 23. Okay, number 9. There are 1,100 students at a school. 540 students are girls and the rest are boys. 1/10 of the girls are left-handed and 1/8 of the boys are left-handed. Work out the number of left-handed students in the school. Okay, well, excuse me. So the way to do this is, if you get a big question with a lot of text, read it all, get a gist of it, get an idea of what it's going on about, and then go back to the beginning, and anything you can work out, stop, work it out, and then keep going. So there are 1,100 students at school, 540 are girls, the rest are boys. So the first thing I can do is find out how many boys there are. So if there's 1,100 in the school, and I take away all the girls, I'm going to be left with the boys. Again, not taking any chances, I'll use my calculator, and we're left with 560 boys. Great. Let's keep going. So 1/10 of the girls are left-handed, so we can figure that out. So 1/10 times the girls, which is 540, is going to give me 54. So 54 left-handed girls. And then it says 1/8 of the boys are left-handed. So 1/8 times, well, this is where my boys come into play. So 560, and that should be 70 left-handed boys. Then we want to work out the total number of left-handed students in the school, so that is just going to be 54 plus 70, which is 124 left-handed students. Lovely. Okay, number 10, we've got a 3D shape. Write the name of this 3D shape. Well, there's kind of two parts to this. The first thing, if it's a shape that's the same all the way through, then that is called a prism. So anything that's kind of this, wherever you cut it, you're going to get the same shape. And what type of prism is it? Well, this is a triangle. So this is a triangular prism. Don't write Toblerone. Okay. B. Write down the number of edges of this 3D shape. Well, let's just use a highlighter to have a think about this. So the edges are all the kind of lines. So there's 1, 2, 3 to make up that triangle. So I write 3 in my highlighter there. Let's pick another colour. We've also got the same at the back. We've got 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 there. And then also we've got these kind of going along the length of it. We've got 1. We've got this back one here at the bottom, and then we've got this front one at the bottom as well. So we've got 3 there. So altogether, there are going to be 9 edges on this shape. Okay. Number 11. A shop sells washing powder in 650 gram packs. Lovely. Jacob has no washing powder. He estimates that he does 2 washes a week using 40 grams each wash. Jacob wants to buy enough washing powder for 13 weeks. Why, I don't know. When it runs out, pop to Sainsbury's, sorted. But he wants to buy enough for 13 weeks. How many packs of washing powder does he need to buy? Right. So let's just repeat what we've got. So we've got 2 washes a week. And he wants 13 weeks. So that's going to be 2 times 13, which is 26 washes. Okay. So now we want to look at how many grams per wash. So it's 40. So 40 grams per wash. So we want 26 washes times 40. So again, let's use my calculator. 26 times 40, that gives me 1040. We know that each pack, so let's use another colour again. Each pack has 650 grams. So 1040 divided by 650 is 1.6. So you can't buy 0.6 of a pack, so he's going to need 2 packs to have enough. And he should have some powder left over. Okay, number 12. Last year the cost of Tom's train ticket was £42. This year the cost of Tom's train ticket increased to £50. Write down the increase in the cost of Tom's ticket as a fraction of last year's cost. Alright, well the increase, we just need to figure out how much more it is. So if it's 50 this year and it's 42 last year, we can just do a quick subtract to get that it's £8 increase. And so you can write that as 8 out of last year's cost, which is 42. And if you want to simplify that, that's 4 out of 21. Okay, so the diagram shows 2 shapes on a centimetre grid. Find the area of shape P. Well, it's a triangle. So let's just write the formula. So the area of a triangle is half of base times height. So the base is, it's a centimetre grid, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the base. The height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's write them there so it's a bit more obvious. So that's half of 4 times 6, which is 24, and half of 24 is 12. Lovely. In part B, write down the mathematical name for shape Q. Well, it's got 2 sets of parallel lines. It's not a rectangle, it's a parallelogram. Okay. Hopefully we're doing alright so far. Okay, so the next one says find the value of 30.5 squared plus 12.1 squared. So this is just a test of can you put this in your calculator. So 30.5 squared plus 12.1 squared. See, I've made a typo, put 12.0, so just double check every figure is right. 30.5 squared plus 12.1 squared equals, and we want to write down everything that we see. So 1076.66. And then the next one, we want to find the value of the square root of 5.13 plus 10.28 minus 0.97. So in the square root, we want 5.13 plus 10.28. Then you want to make sure that your minus is outside of the square root, 0.97. And we end up with 2.955557285. Okay. Okay, so number 15. We've got some parallel lines, A, B and CD, and an angle of 110 is shown on the diagram. Write down the letter of one other angle of size 110. Well, there's a lot of choices here. The one I'm looking at straight away is that we've got an X angle here, so this is an X. And opposite angles, if we can do that, opposite angles in an X. Oops. Can I get rid of that? So opposite angles in an X are equal and they're called vertically opposite. So one letter that is size 110 is B, and that is because vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay, now there's others you could have done. Let's just rub this out a bit. The other thing you've got is you've got corresponding angles. So, oops, not having much luck with this highlighter. Let's just use a pen. So corresponding angles. So that tells me that this here is the same as this here. So we could have written, let's just write another one. So F equals 110 because corresponding angles are equal. Okay, and another option, just to do one more, we've also got a Z. So if I go like that, then we've got that this is equal to that. So D also equals 110 because Z angles, or as they're called properly, alternate angles, are equal. Okay, and it also makes sense if F is 110 that D is 110, because here we've got another X there as well, so it makes sense that that one would be the same as that one. Okay, but we only needed one, so there we go. Okay, so number 16, the accurate scale drawing shows the position of two towns, town A and town B. 2 centimetres represents 1 kilometre. Okay, find the real distance between town A and town B. Okay, so it's going to be tough for me to do this on my iPad, but we want to find the real distance, so you'd get a ruler and you'd measure that line. Now, I might be remembering this wrong, but I think that measures to be 5 centimetres, but I'm not 100% sure. So then we have that 2 centimetres represents 1 kilometre. So if this is in centimetres, we want to half it to get the kilometres. So if it was 5, I don't want to say it's 5 because I can't measure it on the iPad, but it'd be 5 over 2, which is 2.5 kilometres. So that would be my answer to that one. Okay. Now, the next one says town C is 3.2 kilometres from B on a bearing of 255. Draw the position of town C with a cross on the diagram. Okay, so again, it's going to be tough to do this on a tablet, but we can do the conversion again. So remember, 1 kilometre is 2 centimetres. So if this is 3.2 kilometres, I'm going the other way. I want to times 2, and I'm going to get 6.4 centimetres. So that's how far away I want it to be. And then the angle is 255, the bearing. Now that always comes from north. So if you have a 360 degree protractor, 255 might look something, let's say, like that maybe. Now if you don't have a 360 degree protractor, then what you want to do is you want to take away 255 from 360 and you'll get 105. So you could also measure anti-clockwise 105 degrees like that. And then you make sure that this line, whatever it is 6.4 centimetres. And then we draw an X and label it C. Okay, so that's not the right answer because I've not got a protractor or a ruler that I can use on this iPad, but hopefully that makes sense of how you would get the answer. Okay. Okay, so a car is travelling at a speed of 120 kilometres an hour. Find the speed of the car in metres per second. Alright then, so we want to change the units then. So the first thing we want to do then, let's change kilometres to metres. So 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres. So 120 kilometres an hour is the same as, so times it by 1,000, it's going to be 120,000 metres an hour. Okay, so then let's keep going. So now let's change it into seconds, but we're on hours, so let's do minutes first. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So we want to divide by 60 to get minutes. So let's just keep track of what we've done here. So we've timesed by 1,000, and now we're going to divide by 60. So 120,000 divided by 60. That gives me 2,000 meters a minute. Let's write minute like that. And then finally 1 minute into seconds, but again 1 minute is 60 seconds. So I want to divide by 60 again. And that gives me 33.3 recurring meters per second. Okay. Okay, 18. So ABC is a straight line. Show that ABD is an isosceles triangle. Okay, well, if we've got a straight line, we know that angles on a straight line add up to 180. So 180 minus 124 is 56. So this must be 56. So let's just write y. So ABD, the angle ABD, is equal to 56, since angles on a straight line add to 180. Okay, and then we can use the fact that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So let's just add these up that we've got so far. So we've got 68 plus 56, which is 124, and then it's the same thing again, 180 minus 124 is 56. And that should make us smile, because that will show that it's isosceles. So let's just write what we've done for now. So DAB, I won't do a dab, DAB is 56 degrees, since angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. Great. And then finally, just a tiny little bit of reasoning. So since two of the angles in ABD are equal, ABD is an isosceles triangle. Lovely. Okay, so normally it says explain how you got each part of your answer. It didn't this time, so I might not have needed to write so much, but I've done it anyway, why not? Okay. Alright then, so some factorization questions. So we want to start off by factorizing fully 30x cubed plus 12x. Well, let's start off with the numbers. So if I'm doing the numbers, let's leave the letters alone. So 30 and 12, I'm noticing that they're both in the 6 times table. So this is equal to 6 brackets. Now 6 times what is 30? Well, it's 5. Leave the letters the same, x cubed. And 6 times 2 is 12, so 2x. Okay, so now I've done the numbers, I'll do the letters. So in both of them is an x, and the highest power is an x. So keep the number the same. I've got x cubed, but I've divided one of those x's. So that's just going down to x squared. Plus, well, 2x, I've divided the x away, so there's just 2 left. So that is 6x, 5x squared plus 2. Okay, B. Solve 5f minus 2 equals 22. So it's up to you. You could straight away divide by 5, but let's expand the brackets first. So 5 times f is 5f. 5 times 2 is 10, so 5 times minus 2 would be minus 10, and that equals 22. Okay, then I want to solve for f. So the first thing I want to do is add 10 to both sides. So I'm going to get 5f is equal to 32, and then I want to divide by 5 to get f on its own. So f is going to be 32 over 5, which is 6.4. Let me just double check that, just because I'm doubting myself. 32 over 5, yeah, 6.4. Lovely. Okay. Question 20. So light A flashes every 8 seconds and light B flashes every 20 seconds. Then it says both lights flash at the same time. Work out how long it will take for both lights to flash at the same time again. Okay. Well, we just need to figure out with their least common multiple, basically. When are they going to be the same? Looking at it, you might be able to tell that 8 and 20 are both factors of 40, but if not, just write your times table out. So if we think about line A, we've got 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, keep going if you want, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, blah, blah, blah. B is going to be 20, 40. Now at that point you think, oh, I've seen that before, 40 and 40, that's when they're going to match. So they'll flash at the same time after 40 seconds. Okay, so number 21. Here are the times in seconds it took 15 boys to complete the puzzle. Work out the median. Okay, so for the median we're going to want to write all of these in order. So let's just be super careful about this. The lowest number I think I can see is 33. Then we've got 35. Then 36. Yeah, already made a mistake, so 32 as well, but you can always add these in. Any more 30s? I don't think so. Then we've got 40. Then we've got 42. Then we've got 43. Then we've got 44. Then 45. 47. This is mind-numbingly tedious, so please forgive me. 47. Then we've got 52. We've got two 54s. We've got 58. And then 59. Alright, one of the easiest questions to make a mistake on, just because it's so dull to do that and it's easy to make a mistake. Okay, so we want to find the median. So that means we want to find the middle number. So the easiest way to do this is to kind of just cut them off and go into the middle. So let's just cut off the outside. Keep going. So I'm just keep doing this. And you should be left with one in the middle. And it's 44. Now if you're left with 2 in the middle, you want to find the halfway point between them, or the mean of those two numbers. Yeah, so for instance, if I had 40 and 42 in the middle, then my median would be in the middle, which is 41. Okay, but in this one, we've only got 1 in the middle, which is 44, so that is our median. Okay, so B says find the range. Well, the range is just the largest take the smallest, so luckily we've already written these in order. So our range is going to be 59 take 32, which is 27. So the range is 27. Okay. 15 girls also completed the puzzle, and the table shows information about the time in seconds it took 15 girls to complete the puzzle. So we've got that the least time is 30, the greatest time is 58, and the median is 47. So compare the distribution of the times of the girls with the distribution of the times of the boys. Now they've got 3 marks here, so they'll want a few bits of information. So I'm going to compare all 3 of these things: the least time, the median, and the greatest time. And that should hopefully get me my 3 marks. Okay, so the least time for the girls is 30, and the least time for the boys is 32. So let's just write that down. The least time for the girls, 30, is lower than the least time for the boys, which was 32, so I reckon that's maybe 1 mark. Now the greatest time is 58, but it's 59 for the boys. Okay, so let's also write that down. And the greatest time for the girls, 58, is lower than the greatest time for the boys, which is 59. Okay, and then finally let's just look at the median. So the median for the boys is lower than the median for the girls. So that's slightly new information, because overall this picture is that the girls have done better, but actually the median of the boys is lower. So however, the median of the boys, let's try and fit it all in, is lower than the median of the girls. Okay, so that might have been overkill, but that's 3 bits of information, so hopefully this should give me 3 marks for that. Okay, so let's just zoom out a bit to fill this one in. So the frequency table shows the height in centimetres of some tomato plants. Draw a frequency polygon. Well, when you get a range of values for the frequency, to draw your polygon you always want to find the middle of the range. So let's just zoom in again and we'll start with that. So we want to find the midpoints of these ranges. So between 140 and 150 is 145. And then I'm just going to keep going and do all of them. Now just double check, because sometimes the ranges are different sizes. So don't think, oh, you know, this, for example, the midpoints are going up in tens every time, aren't they? But that's not necessarily true. You know, this, for instance, let's just change the question briefly. If this was between, you know, they might have a different number at the bottom here, between 180 and 200, and actually the midpoint of that would be 190. So just double check, because sometimes the ranges might be different sizes. Okay, so now we've got our midpoints, we can plot this graph. So 145, the frequency is 7. So if you look at this, we've got 10 squares between 0 and 5. So 2 squares must be one thing, 1 centimetre in height, or whatever it is. No, one plant, sorry, one plant. So anyway, so 145 is 7. So that would be there. 155 is 10. 165 is 15. 175 is 19. And 185 is 9. Lovely. And then you just join with a ruler, like I'm doing. You just join up all the crosses like that. Okay? Don't attach it to 0 or anything like that. You just join up your points that you've put down. Okay. So Banana Computers, I don't know if they're a rival to Apple or Orange. Banana Computers sold 19.3 million computers in 2017, well done. In 2018 they sold 18.2 million computers. That's gone down a bit, hasn't it? So work out the percentage decrease in the number of computers sold. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, well it's gone from 19.3 to 18.2, so let's just figure out the difference. So that should be 1.1. Again, with everything, just use a calculator. There's no shame in it, and it will make sure that you're not making any silly mistakes. So the difference is 1.1, and we want to work out how much of that is from the original number. So 1.1 over 19.3. Put it in my calculator. So we get 0.05 blah blah blah. So again, if we want a percentage, we'll times that by 100 as well. So times 100, and to 3 significant figures, that is going to be 5.70%. And that's the answer. Okay. So the value of a house increased by 6%. The house then had a value of £265,000. Work out the value of the house before the increase. Okay, so let's just have a little think about this to start with then. So if it's increased by 6%, that means it's going to be 106% of the original price. Yeah, so if it starts off at 100%, that's the price. If you increase by 6%, you're going to be on 106%. The house then had a value of that. So whatever this is, let's call it X. Whatever the house was, you times it by 106%, or 1 point, let's just write this in brackets as well. You could also write it in decimal form, 1.06. And you're ending up with 265,000. So your times to go one way, to go back the original way, you do the opposite of times, which is divide. So the other way then is going to be 265,000 divided by 106%. So again, just write it again, you can write that as 1.06. Okay, and then I'll pop that in my calculator to 265,000 divide by 106, use my percent button on my calculator, and I get 250,000. Now normally these original prices are quite nice and round, so the fact that this is 250,000 feels good. Okay, and that's the answer. Okay, 25. So S equals UT plus half of AT squared. We've got that U is minus 5, A is 4, and T is 3. Work out the value of S. So we just want to shove all these numbers in then. So S is going to be U, which is minus 5, times T, which is 3, plus half of A, which is 4, times T squared, which is 3 squared. Okay. And again, you can just put this all in your calculator. I'll do it just so you can see it kind of building up. You could just type that whole thing into your calculator. But minus 5 times 3 is minus 15. Plus half of 4 is 2. And 3 squared is 9. So that is minus 15. Plus 2 times 9 is 18. So that is going to be 3 altogether. Okay. Now we want to make A the subject of S equals UT plus half of AT squared. Now the first thing I'm going to do is a really simple step, but it can make it a lot easier, is we want A on the left hand side. So without actually changing anything, I'm just going to swap these sides. So instead of S equals all of this, I'm going to have all of this equals S. So I've done nothing there, I've just put them on different sides, just so we've got A on the left. So now I want to get A on its own. So the first thing I want to get rid of is this here, this UT. So let's take away UT, and we'll do that from both sides. So now I'm going to get half of AT squared equals S minus UT. Okay, what next then? So we've got half. So to get rid of half, you double it. Yeah, so if you've got half of something, you double it, you're back to 1. So the next thing I want to do, so let's highlight what I'm getting rid of again. So this bit here. So we're going to times 2 on both sides. So AT squared is going to be 2 lots. And you can keep this in brackets, S minus UT. And then finally, we want A on its own. So let's get rid of this T squared. So it's A times T squared. So we want to divide by T squared. So in the end, you're going to end up with A equals 2 brackets S minus UT divided by T squared. Okay. Alright, number 26. So we've got 120 people in the school canteen, and we've got the 40% of the people in the canteen are year 11 students. The number of year 11 students in the canteen is 3 times the number of year 10 students, and the rest of the people in the canteen are year 9 students. The number of year 9 students to the number of year 10 students is n to 1. Work out the value of n, and you must show how you got your answer. Okay. A lot of stuff there, but again, like we said before with these big paragraph questions, just read it all like we've just done and then start from the beginning, and anything you can work out is going to be good. So there are 120 people in the school canteen and 40% of them are year 11. So let's do that then. So 40% times 120. So again, I'll just use my calculator. And that's going to give me, so 48 year 11s. So let's just keep that in a box. Then it says the number of year 11 students is 3 times the number of year 10 students. So we just want to divide by 3 then. So 48 over 3, and that'll give us our year 11 students. So there are year 10 students. So 16 year 10s. And it says the rest of the people are year 9. So we can do that by doing 48 plus 16 is 64, and then taking that away from the total, which is 120, minus 64, which is 56 year 9s. Okay, so now we want the number of year 9 students to the number of year 10 students. Okay, so let's just write that to start with. So year 9s, there are 56, and year 10s, there are 16. Okay, so we can simplify that then. So if I write this as a fraction and then just press equals, that will simplify to 7 and 2. Okay, now we want n to be 1. We want this to be 1. So for this to go to 1, 2 to 1, I've divided by 2. So I've got to divide 7 by 2, and 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So n must be 3.5. Okay, 27. So Amy drives 300 miles from London to Newcastle. She drives the first 165 miles at an average speed of 60 miles an hour. From this point, it takes Amy 3 hours and 5 minutes to complete, her journey. What was Amy's average speed for the whole journey? Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so we want an answer in miles per hour. So we'll just quickly write the formula then. So we've got that speed equals distance over time. Okay, so the two things that we need then for the whole journey is going to be total distance and total time. Okay, now we know the total distance because it is 300 miles. It says it here. So we can write that down. So total distance is 300 miles. So we just want to find the total time. Now we know from the second part of the journey it's 3 hours and 5 minutes. So we just need the first half of the journey. So for the first bit of the journey then, they've given us that she drives the first 165 miles at an average speed of 60 miles an hour. But if you think about it, there are 60 minutes in an hour. So if she's doing 60 miles in an hour, that is a mile a minute. So this 165 miles is going to take 165 minutes. Okay, and that is going to be, well, 1 hour is 60, 2 hours is 120, so this is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, so now then, we can definitely look at the total time. So the total time is going to be 2 hours 45 minutes plus 3 hours and 5 minutes for the second part. Okay, add the hours up. 2 plus 3 is 5, so this is 5 hours, and 45 plus 5 is 50. Okay, now I don't really want it in hours and minutes, so let's have it in terms of just hours. Well, this is 5 hours and 50 out of 60 minutes, yeah? So 60 minutes in an hour, so 50 out of 60, or 5 out of 6 hours. Okay, so finally then, we want the average speed. So average speed is distance, which is 300, divided by time, which is 5 and 5/6. So I type that in my calculator. So 300 divided by 5 me use that. So 5 and 5/6. And I'm ending up with 51 points, and we want to 3 significant figures, so that's just 51.4 miles per hour. Okay. When you get your answer, because there was a lot of stuff here, I could have done something wrong, I might have done something wrong, just have a look at your answer and see, does that make sense? Now, if she's driving an average speed of 51.4 miles an hour, that sounds good to me, yeah, because you can only go 70 maximum, so imagine she's going round roundabouts, slower bits, faster bits, blah, blah, blah. If you're ending up with something like 200 for this answer, the police are going to be after her because she's going way too fast. So just double check your answer makes sense when you get these like real world situations. Alright then, so 28, so potatoes cost £9 for a 12.5 kilogram bag at a farm shop, and the same type of potatoes cost £1.83 for a 2.5 kilogram bag at a supermarket. Where are the potatoes the better value? Well, we've got them for 12.5 at a farm shop, and we've got them for 2.5 at a supermarket. So without thinking, you can just get everything down to 1. I'll show you a bit of a different way of doing it in a minute, but if we can get them both down to 1 kilogram, then that's going to be useful. So farm shop then, so for 1 kilogram it's going to be £9 divided by 12.5, okay, because it's for a 12.5 kilogram. So 9 divided by 12.5, and that gives me £0.72 per kilogram. And then if we look at supermarket, that's going to be £1.83 divided by 2.5 to get down to 1 kilogram. So 1.83 divided by 2.5, and that gives me £0.73. It's 73.2, but I've rounded it up to the nearest pence. So per kilogram, and I'll just write here to the nearest penny. Okay, so it's actually better value at the farm shop by 1p a kilogram. Okay, now another way of doing this is you might notice that 12.5 is a multiple of 2.5. It's going to be 5 lots. So what you could actually do is you could just divide this by 5. So 9 divided by 5, and that gives you £1.80, and that's how much it costs for 2.5 kilograms. And again, you can see that it's cheaper in the farm shop by 3p. Alright, so it's another way of doing it, but it's easier normally just to not think about it, get them both down to 1, and then they're easy to compare. Alright then, how are we doing well with this? Okay, so we've got ABCD is a trapezium. Calculate the area of ABCD. Okay, well, for a trapezium, to find the area, you need to know the lengths of both parallel sides. So there's that one, and there's that one. Now, I don't know that length, so I'm going to need to do something else. Now, my first idea is to use Pythagoras. Now, if I split that into a rectangle and a triangle, that's going to be a right angle. And this is a rectangle, so that's going to be 15 centimeters as well. Okay, so let's just redraw a triangle like this. So we've got this is 15 and this is 17, and we don't know this. We know the whole thing is 12, but we don't know just this bit. So let's call this x. So using Pythagoras then, so we've got that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C squared is the longest side, the hypotenuse, it's the one that doesn't touch the right angle, so that is 17 squared. And then the other two, it doesn't matter. So let's just write x squared plus 15 squared. Then we want to solve this. So the first thing we want to do is take away this 15 squared. So x squared is going to be 17 squared minus 15 squared. And then to get x on its own, we just want to square root both sides. So x is going to be the square root of 17 squared minus 15 squared. Okay, and let's just do that. So square root 17 squared minus 15 squared, and lovely, we get 8. So a really nice number there. So let's just pop this down in a different colour. So put my units. So this is going to be 8 centimetres. Excuse me. And so if this is 8, then use a different colour. This, to make up the 12, has got to be 4 centimetres. Okay, so that is 4. Okay, so now I can use the area for a trapezium. So area of a trapezium is the average of the parallel sides, so A plus B over 2 times height. Okay, so our A and B are 4 and 12, and our height is, well, how long it is. Oops. Oh, I think my iPad's just died. Okay, so 4 plus 12. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. I think it was my pen that died. So I'm going to use my finger for the rest of the thing. So we got to this point, didn't we? I've lost all my working out, but we got that was 4. So the area of a trapezium, you add the two parallel sides, divide them by 2, and then times them by the height. Well, the parallel lines are here, and the height is going to be this bit there. So 12 plus 4 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And 8 times 15 is 120, and it's centimetres squared. Okay, alright. I think we're near the end. Is this the last question? Oh no, I've got 2 more. Okay. So excuse me with my monkey fingers for the rest of the thing. Okay, so the diagram shows a rectangle and a triangle. The perimeter of the rectangle is equal to the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, find the value of x. So let's start off then with the perimeter of the rectangle. Now then, if it's a rectangle, the sides are going to match, so that's going to be x minus 5, and that is going to be 2x plus 7. So if I add all these up, I'm going to get, so let's start at the top, so 2x plus 7 plus x minus 5 plus 2x plus 7 plus x minus 5. Okay, how many x's have I got? Well, I've got 2, 3, 5 and 6, so this is 6x, and then I've also got, let's use a different colour, I've got 7, take away 5 is 2, plus 7 is 9, take away 5 is 4, so 6x plus 4. Okay, so that's the perimeter of my rectangle. Great. Now then, the perimeter of the triangle is going to be all the triangle sides add up. So we've got x plus 2x plus 11 plus 2x. How many x's have I got this time? Well, it's going to be 5x, and then I've got 11. Okay. So now then, running out of space because I'm with my finger, I'm on size 1,000,000 fonts. So we want them to equal each other. So we've got that 6x plus 4 equals 5x plus 11. So to solve this, I want to keep the x's on one side. I've got 6 on one, 5 on the other. So let's take away the lower number. Let's take away the 5. So if I take away 5x from one, that's going to disappear. And if I take away 5 from the other, I've got 6. Take away 5, I'm just going to be left with 1x. So this leaves me with x plus 4 equals 11. And then finally, I just want to take away the 4 from both sides, and I'm going to get that x is 7. Okay, that is supposed to be an x. Okay. All right, final question. Here are the first 5 terms of a sequence. Find an expression in terms of n for the nth term. Okay. Well, what we want to do here is we want to look at what the difference is between each term of the sequence, and we're hoping that they're going to be the same. And if we look at this, this looks like it's going up in 5s every time. Okay, so if it's going up in 5s every time, our nth term is going to start off with 5n. So we know that that's going to be involved. Now let's think about our first term. So our first term is 9. Okay, so what we think about is when n is 1, this 5n is going to be 5 times 1, which is 5. Now how do I get from 5 to 9? Well, I'm just going to add 4, and that's our sequence. Yeah, so we could double check it for term 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. Great. Term 3, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. So that is our answer. Lovely, and that's the end of that paper. So hopefully you found it helpful. Sorry that I lost my pen halfway through, but I'm looking to do more videos in the future, so subscribe or comment if there's anything in particular you want to do, and good luck in the exam.